Welcome back, everybody, to a new Cedar Flags episode. We are working in the back of the park for this one, and we're actually just going to be doing a lot of terrain work, and we're only going to be putting in a new parking lot for this episode. So not the most exciting work that we have to do, but it is a necessary step. This episode, we're actually outlining like a hard boundary at the back of the park. So yeah, this is one of those things that we had to do. And if you're actually following the channel in sequence, like you've been following the uploads and stuff, you'll notice that, hey, where's the cinematic shot of our new coaster? I haven't made that video just yet. I actually was thinking that I wanted to, but then I went in and I looked at it, and I really want to get a few things done around this area before we go ahead and shoot the cinematic POV for our new coaster, which I've been calling Copper Forge. So the Copper Forge video is a little bit delayed. I want to get a little bit more done back there before. Usually I actually try to cover up some of the flat land with just some trees and stuff, but I really want to have something else going on back there because that ride is so intertwined in the terrain and in the path work. I just really want to see other things back there. So maybe another flat ride will go in before we go ahead and put that together. So just randomly someday you'll see that POV video and you guys will be like, oh, cool, that's finally up. So yeah, the path, or the road rather, that we're doing right now is another road from the outside world, wherever that may be. We're actually going to terminate this into another cave. That is how I found to be the easiest way to get a road into this game. So yes, we have a lot of art pieces going in there as lanes. You actually saw me copy over what we've already done at the other main parking lot. So the main gate, as we've already done, has a massive parking lot. What we're doing in this episode, not as big of a project because in theory, there's not going to be as many people back here parking. So the parking lot that we're putting in here is only going to be for people who are staying at the hotel. So yeah, that's another project that we have to do. So we're going to be eventually putting in a massive resort. I don't know if massive is the right word. It's going to be a fairly big hotel, hopefully. And this parking lot that we're scheduling, or that we're building here, is just for people who have booked rooms at this hotel. And actually, like I said, I've recorded a little bit ahead already. We are going to be putting in a second gate. So there is going to be a gate back here at this side of the park for people, presumably, who are staying at that hotel. So I'm actually going to be cutting, I've already recorded that. So I'm actually cutting that out. So the end of this video actually won't have a live portion since a lot of that's already built and I don't want to spoil the next episode. But yeah, this video is purely going to be time-lapse, I think. And yeah, the next one is already recorded. So I'm actually, for maybe one of the few times in this series over the last few years, I'm actually ahead on videos for once. So yeah, it's kind of exciting. And now that we're back here at this side of the park, we're really seeing like what we have left to do in the park. So really there's not too much land left. We've got a few projects already scheduled out, and if we were going to hop into a live portion, I would show you guys what we have thinking. But somebody actually had suggested maybe doing a winged coaster, and I really wasn't planning on doing a winged coaster, but I think a wing coaster might fit at this back side of the park, so that's potentially a coaster that we have to do. I also wanted to do a launch coaster over by the Cedar Speedway area. I felt like that would fit very well. And then I think we were going to do another kiddie coaster potentially. So really 2 or 3 more coasters in this park, and then I think we're going to be done with roller coasters, and then the rest will just be flat rides, restaurants and scenery and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're toward the end of this, which is actually pretty cool. I really want to get Planet Zoo going on this channel when that comes out, and it's looking like we're going to be able to wrap this up before that time comes, which I wasn't really sure about, and now I am, so that's pretty cool there. One thing I did want to mention about the time-lapse so far is you saw a lot of road work, and there are actually a lot of guardrails. I may end up going back and taking some of those guardrails out. I just noticed that like after I built all this and I was actually going through and editing this stuff, that I was like, that's a lot of guardrails, and really you don't need that many guardrails if there's not like cliff sides. So maybe one side will keep the guardrail in, not really sure. But you also saw me go through and make a little bit of a weird, like, rocky dip in the terrain. And that was actually from the lake down into the little ravine that we have there. And theoretically, in my mind, that is for overflow water from that lake. It would flow over that through. We actually had a little, I guess, cauldron or whatever you want to call that under. It's not really a bridge since we didn't build a structure for it, but there is a tunnel underneath the road there that would allow water to spill through that way. So it's a little bit of a spillway, I guess, over there. And yeah, this is kind of weird because we have like that little ravine back there, which is cool. But past all of that, like directly behind the camera, I guess, it's kind of hard to say when I'm moving the camera so much, but outside of the map, there's actually a lake that's been there this entire time. It's a pre-generated lake. We can never get over to it to build on it. But yeah, in theory, the water that spills over from our higher lake would go into that ravine and then trickle into that lake that's in the background. So a little bit of a method to my madness, I guess, in terms of all of that. I just felt like having that lake that we made a little bit higher than the road was a little strange, but it's just, it's how it had to be because of the way the terrain is all over here. So it all works out, I think. And again, this is like a build that's not technically a part of the amusement park. So I really kind of refrained a little bit here and there throughout this area from going super hyper detailed on stuff. So I really didn't want to have to go through and put like a ton of ground, like undergrowth under the trees and stuff. So there's not really a lot of like that going on. We did a lot of terrain texturing, so a lot of spray painting the terrain, and then a lot of just random tree placement, and that was pretty much it. A lot of terrain work had to be done in terms of shaping it though, so you saw a lot of that, and trust me, it's way cooler to watch that in a time-lapse format than live. That took so long to do that kind of stuff, and it's because the terrain tools that we have aren't as robust as like a City Skylines is, unfortunately, but we get by with it. But yeah, it really looks cool when that terrain stuff is being done in time lapse. You can really see stuff take shape really quickly, and it makes it so much more satisfying to watch. But as I've been rambling on a little bit, we've been back here in what is going to be the parking lot here. We have it pretty much sketched out, and actually you'll see me here and there take the dirt terrain paint and basically spray dirt all over the place, and then I'll go ahead and use the asphalt, and it's really just a way of me trying to make sure that I got all of what I had to get flattened. So a lot of times when you're using the flattening tool and you're just working in the grass, it's really hard to figure out, like, is this all technically flat? I think I did it, but I'm not really sure. So if you spray it one color or one texture, and then you go ahead and work it with another one, it makes it way easier to see visually what you've already done. So it was really easy to do after we did that. So a lot of that you'll see here and there. And actually I took the asphalt and I kind of sketched out what I thought I wanted the parking lot to basically look like. And in the end, I think I overcomplicated it in my mind. So yeah, you'll see like throughout this, like where I'm building one thing and then I'm building another part, where in reality, what I should have done is just build one portion of the parking lot and basically just copied it like the entire way through. So I took the harder road for some reason. I tend to do that sometimes when I'm not thinking things through or whatever, and I just really wanted to get in here and make a parking lot. But yeah, eventually we actually do copy the bottom half of this that we are working on into the other side. So it is a little bit, I guess more, I don't know. I guess I got a little smarter with it as I went on here, but it was a little iffy here and there. But yeah, we as you can see, we have a lot of parking. I think it might be a little too much parking, but I guess if you're judging the resort that we're going to be putting in, the hotel, based on this parking lot, I think we're going to have to work with that, and probably we might have to count the parking spaces and maybe use that as an indication of how many rooms we should have. I'm not sure if there's like a hard fast rule about that. Like I'm pretty sure hotels will probably have enough parking for their rooms, but I'm not sure how they come to that conclusion. So it's going to be more of a guess and check situation for me, or we're just probably going to eye it up. I didn't put a ticket booth down here for this parking lot. You'll remember back when we did the other parking area, we have a toll type ticket area where people have to pay for parking. We didn't do that back here. I felt like we didn't necessarily need it back here. I figured at some point there'd be some sort of enforcement for, I don't know, maybe our security takes care of parking passes back here. You need a pass to park back here or something from the hotel. So that's kind of in my mind why I did that. I also didn't feel like I necessarily wanted to go ahead and build another toll booth down here just because it didn't really fit, and there's only one lane of traffic coming down here. So like I said, there's not supposed to be that many people driving back here at once, so I didn't figure we'd need multiple lanes and multiple toll booths back here. So it's all pretty much kept pretty minimal back here. Again, part of that was kind of just trying to save on some of the prop count, so that's pretty much why I did that. But as you can see here, we have 2 lanes of island parking, if you want to call it that, and then a couple rows of edge parking back here. So I'm not sure if those are technical terms for anything. I'm not sure if there are technical terms for parking lots like this, but yeah, we got smart and we copied all that over and we went ahead and flipped it around. And actually some of the little curves that we did with these planters back here were not necessarily precise in that they are about a 90-degree like semicircle, but they aren't necessarily super symmetric. But I think at some point I actually went through and I fixed it a little bit, so that's nice. You'll also notice that we were pretty much right up on the artificial boundary that we had for the park here, so we're right at the limit. I actually had to kick back into the scenario editor and adjust those adjust the park dimensions once again. So I gave myself a little bit more room toward the back of the camera now, and we ended up going through and smoothing some of that terrain. We were so close to the edge that it really created like a sheer cliff, and I really didn't want to keep that going. You can actually kind of see that right here. There's pretty much a sheer cliff there, and I didn't want that to be how this ended over here. I really wanted to smooth that in a little bit, and luckily we still had enough park left to expand our boundaries out that far, and it actually all worked out pretty nicely. And like I said, past this parking lot, we're not going to be doing anything else, so we threw a few trees back there, adjusted the terrain a little bit, tried to conform it a little bit to what was already there. But no, you're noticing a lot of crossover between the first parking lot that we did and this one. That was, I guess, me being smart in trying to not have to recreate the wheel back here. You're seeing a lot of the same pylons that we did to hopefully create some sort of boundary between cars and the pedestrian walkway areas. So we copied that over, and really, I don't know if I love these planters all that much, but we are using them again over here just to outline some boundaries of where cars should be driving and where people need to be going. So this was, I don't think I necessarily intended to change the color of these planters. I think once we get into the park, we might change the color a little bit on any additional planters we put in there, but I think we're going to actually take those colors that are already there and try to incorporate them into our hotel back here. And actually, we're smoothing out some of the area to the left side of the parking. I don't like, again, I'm turning the camera so much, but you're seeing where we're putting this now. The hotel is actually going to be back here. So you saw a little bit of smoothing there. And hopefully the hotel build goes pretty well. I can tell you the next episode that we do is actually going to be the second gate for the back of the park, or the first gate of the back of the park. I phrased that really poorly. We're going to be working on the gate back in this part of the park. So, but the episode after that will probably end up doing the hotel build, which will be kind of interesting. It's really just going to be like architectural build. So it's going to be fairly interesting. The one thing that I need you guys to let me know, if you do know, is the hotel itself is actually going to be out of the boundaries of the park. So between the hotel and the rides, there's going to be a gate entry for the park, or a ticket entry, or whatever they call it, a park entry point. Do the hotels actually work as like intended? Like if I were to actually put a hotel building back here and have it function as a hotel, would the guests actually go back and like stay there, or does it have to be within the boundaries of the park? If that makes sense. That might not have made sense, but if you know, let me know. Yeah, so basically what our hotel is going to be, regardless if that works or not, is a spawn point. So I actually, while I was in the scenario editor, or whatever it's called, I created a new spawn point back here. So we are going to have guests spawning in the hotel lobby and then walking. So that's why you're seeing some path work go down over here. It should be interesting. Hopefully it'll create kind of this more, I guess, better distribution of guests, because as of right now, all of our guests are pretty much at the front of the park because that's where they spawn. So naturally they're going to walk around over there first, and very rarely are we going to see a bunch of people back here. It's been pretty quiet back here at this part of the park as I've been playing, because first of all, they spawn up near the front, but second of all, we just don't have a ton of people in the park. I think we limit it to about 1,700 people in the park so I can play the game. But yeah, hopefully this new spawn point back here will create some people jumping into the backsides of the park over here. So it should be fairly interesting to see, and I'm hoping that it works fairly well. It's going to be really cool to see people actually coming out of the hotel as well once we get that built, but that is going to be in a few episodes from now. So as I've been rambling on, we've been pretty much finishing up this planter work. This isn't, like I said, this isn't necessarily the most entertaining, I guess, work to do here, so I'm sorry for that. I was actually intending on doing the entrance build, but as I've edited all of this, it came out to about almost 20 minutes worth, so I figured we'll probably split this up a little bit. Instead of one massive, like, 15-minute episode, we'll split it up into two pieces here. So yeah, this is pretty much about wrapping up, I think. The last part that we have to do here is put a bunch of the trees in. So yeah, I wanted to kind of fill this in a little bit more naturally. I think it was kind of weird because we have these areas in these planters where we have some nature going in, but I think because the planters are so methodically placed, it's just a little awkward that we have so many different trees going on back here. So I'm not sure. I may want to go through and actually change that, maybe, or not. It looks good. It's just a little bit weird in that it's so, like, artificial looking, but we try to throw just random trees in there so it doesn't look super artificial, if that makes any sense. But I guess the last thing we're going to be doing here is, first of all, we're going to be marking out where the next entrance is going to be. So we've created a little bit of a plaza, but I've actually gone through and I've adjusted a lot of the path work back here. So near Copper Forge, we have adjusted the pathing a little bit. It's not so rigid anymore, and it all kind of flows in toward this back plaza now. So that's pretty nice. And also, I guess I should mention that we're going to need to be doing another train station eventually as well. So the train, we've always planned this, but we're just now getting around to it. So it's probably been a year and a half or so since last time we touched the train, but we need a spot for the station down here. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing for that build or when that's actually going to be being done. But yeah, we will go ahead and plan for it eventually, and we'll get to it eventually as well. But you're just seeing some of the little bit of tweaks that we're doing around the Copper Forge area. I am fully intending on putting another flat ride in this little open space that we've created, so it's not like I didn't want to do a bunch of nature work or something down there. But yeah, that's gonna be another episode. Like I said, I really want to get another flat ride or two down here before I make that cinematic video, but I think this one is just about wrapping up, and the last thing we're doing here is some terrain work. This is after I've expanded the boundaries of the park, and we're just going through and smoothing this and adding a few more things. So I guess I'm gonna leave you guys on this one here. Like I said, no live portion for this one, unfortunately. We will get back into that in the next episode. We're gonna be doing the build for the final gate of the park, and it should be interesting moving forward. We'll look again at what we have left to do in the park in the next episode. We'll go into the live portion. I'll talk a little bit about that. But yes, this has been a lot of pavement work. It's fairly boring. If you didn't stick around, that's fine. If you did like it, though, go ahead and throw me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you disliked it, of course. And I am over on Twitter at DeekFTW, and I am on Patreon at patreon.com/DeekFTW if you wish to support. And guys, I'll see you in the next video.